It's Wednesday the 20th. I noticed a couple new subscribers. This, just so you know, this channel is mostly just friends and family. That's fine that you're here. But these are a little bit boring. These are just more kind of the trials and tribulations of the stuff I'm growing, and just giving people across the country that I know just some updates. So just be forewarned. A little bit behind on updates this week, so it's Wednesday. Just shooting some quick video, then I got to get back in the house and get some work done. These early dolls, they're supposed to be a 4-foot-ish determinant. Figure they're about 2 feet off the ground, so they're hitting close to the 5 feet mark. Hopefully they're done going up, but they're getting pretty wide and bushy. Tomatoes are starting. And yeah, there's different ones on different trusses just kind of popping up, and I've got to get some support on some of these because these are pretty thick branches, about almost as thick as my thumb, and they're gonna start falling down. I don't remember if I talked about it last week. So this, which I thought was my Juliet grape, is not a Juliet grape. This is a chocolate sprinkle. I can tell by now that there is some fruit popping out, the size and shape. So it's not the plant I thought it was, but it decided to get a nice growth spurt with the heat and actually brighten up. So we'll let it go for a little bit. It is taking up a lot of space. And yeah, that's about it. But that's last year's plant. You can see it's already bent and hunched over. Juliet grape tomato is doing wonderful. You can see this truss. There's a bunch of tomatoes starting there. Blossoms everywhere. And there's a boatload of tomatoes. I mean, look at the size of this tomato. I mean, it's almost the size of my thumb. So these are Juliet hybrid grapes, right? So they're a little bit bigger. I mean, there's tomatoes everywhere. So hopefully, we'll say, a little less than a month, hopefully they'll start ripening up. The black crims are doing pretty well. This plant's pretty healthy. I've been trying to trim the suckers, kind of keep it under control. This is also black crim. This one, I let one of the suckers grow. Now I've got 2, and I'm still debating whether I'm gonna cut that or not. Starting to blossom. It's a little bit behind the other one. This is an Abe Lincoln, although it looks a little scrawny. It's got about 10 tomatoes on there, so this is where it should be growing up. It might be a little stunted at that point, but if it just keeps growing, then great. Jalapenos doing well. They need to be trimmed. Bell peppers, they seem to be going a little slow, but they're healthy, so let them do their thing. It probably has to do with the weather. Banana pepper needs a lot of trimming. There's so many leaves in there, but there's buds starting. The Scotch bonnet, I've got to get in and put a couple more clips in there. It's leaning, but it's nice and healthy and bushy. What is this one? I keep forgetting. This is a chocolate sprinkle. It's starting to bud. You can see some going on down here. This is the big beef. This is the one that I cut wrong when I was trimming. It's starting to kind of recover, and we're getting some buds. I'm still debating whether to cut my loss and have one big beef that either needs to get in the dirt or get put in a bucket. So I think I'm going to put that in a bucket and get it going. I still have spots for 2. I'm trying to reserve that for pepper plants, and if this big beef doesn't do its thing, then the other one will get going. This is what they call the midnight snack, as we've talked before. You can see all the dark purple fruit that's going on there. So they're dark purple, and they've got some green on the bottom, and then they'll turn a more of a reddish purple when they go. But there's about 20 plus on this plant, and it's just continuing to go. So this one's got the most fruit on it. Well, second most, because the grape tomato's doing better. That was a midnight snack. This is the indigo, so this is the same thing, but these are bigger. These are, like we talked before, these would be about the size of a plum. The leaves look a little funky, but I mean, they're not dry, and the plant is healthy and growing. So the Tessa land currant is starting to take off after the transplant, so these are relatively small. I haven't grown this before, but we'll see how that goes. And then the sun globe, it's doing really well. The leaves look a little wilty. Some of the plants do that in the heat out here in the greenhouse, but the plant's healthy. A lot of buds going on there, so I'm not too worried. And I also cut 2 giant suckers off, so I may be propagating another plant, either for somebody else or for use in the greenhouse. But that's it from the outside perspective, or the inside the greenhouse. Everything's outside. Cucumbers are doing well, so these have only been out here a little over a week. Those a week ahead. Those are divas. Those are divas. These 2 plants, you can't really tell the difference, but there's actually 4 cucumber plants in the dirt there. The first 2 were divas. I'm trying to get them to climb the trellis. I probably need to get a couple either sticks or strings going down. And then next to it are Space Masters, and hiding down here are 2 cucumbers that are eating size, but these will get to be like full-size cucumbers. So I could eat them now, but I'm gonna let them grow. The cucamelons are doing well, as we talked about how tiny these plants are. You can see on the tip of my finger the little cucumber and the little bud behind it. So they're trying to grow and climb. Lemon cucumbers, not budding yet. Well, I can see some buds hanging underneath there. I'm not gonna go digging in there, but trying to train it to climb the string. Snap peas. They're actually a pretty small plant considering how big the snap peas are. Most of those are Roma beans. There's a couple Chinese long bean in the corner, and then these 3 are long beans. They're not doing real well. I think the bitter melon is starting to choke it down. The orange Russolini is starting to take off. There's about 6 plants in there. 2 Tessa land currants in the dirt. 2 opalkas. Don't know what they are, but they're tomatoes. And then these are supposed to be Italian heirlooms, and the leaves are a little bit different on there. The corn is doing well except for this one. I don't know why it decided to die out, so I'm going to plant another seed in there. And I planted beans alongside of this last week. They haven't sprouted yet, so waiting for the beans. Rutabaga transplants are taking off now. I planted new sets of carrots, new beans. Potatoes are looking meh. Blue Lake green beans, which is what's in there as well. Those are getting healthy. There's lots of buds starting there. Zucchini needs to be trimmed. I'm going to circle back around. Swiss chard, I'm letting it go to seed. German giant radishes are doing well. This is a big beef. Put that in the dirt in a cloth bag. We'll see how it goes. These green onions, trying to let go to seed. These 2 radishes, they need to come out. There are some radishes. The French breakfast, don't really like those. And this spinach I didn't get to eating, so it needs to go. It's already, starting to sprout. I ate the bok choy the other night. Green onions are doing pretty well now that it's warming up. Cilantro is just starting to grow and perk up now. You can still see a bunch of yellow leaves. That's the dill that I planted. It's starting to sprout now. I figure with all the cucumbers, I need to plant dill. Fresh dill is like $2 or $3 for 2 sprigs. Strawberries are taking off. I had one nice strawberry last night. Lots of blossoms hanging out in here. I need to trim it so they get more sun and get more pollinators. There's lots of zucchini starting down there. The big one is hanging out right here. That's looking pretty good. That's really it. The two dwarf fruit trees, they're just hanging in there, right? We're not going to see anything for many months. Oh, the other thing, and I forgot what's in the greenhouse, is so I received some new seeds, Baker Seed Company, and I planted these on Saturday, and they're sprouting already. So there is 3 rows of baby bok choy. There's 1 row. I'm sorry. There's 3 rows of baby bok choy. There's 1 row of a Japanese radish that's wasabi-like, but it looks like a little radish. So I figured I'd see how spicy that was. And then 2 rows of what they call tatsoi. It's a type of bok choy, and it's really small, leafy, and bunchy. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's been only 4 days, and I've got sprouts. So other than that, I forgot to talk about what's hanging out down here. So there's 2 more snap peas. They didn't get transplanted right away, so transplanted those, just waiting for some roots to take in so I can plant those with the other ones. Then these are Aurora peppers. They're a mild sweet pepper, and they were really runty and weren't doing real well, so they're kind of plugging along real slow. The basil needs to be transplanted. It's growing really well. And what else is hanging out down here? These are keystone peppers, and then the 2 watermelons. The 2 watermelons are waiting for me to build the tub still, so. And then these are just leftovers. There's a couple of different types of tomatoes, and a couple other peppers, and a couple of diva cucumbers. So they were just extras. Other than that, long video, lots of updates, and that's it for this week.